Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to Halas Hall. This is what we've all come to learn and love, a living, breathing scrapbook, really, of some of the greatest memories in the charter franchise of the National Football League, the Chicago Bears, unique to this franchise. And today, it's a family reunion. Two franchise greats return to their NFL roots, and fitting with it being draft week, with a nod to the past while anticipating the future. So Devin Hester and Matt Forte, welcome home. This time I'd like to please welcome the chairman of the board of the Chicago Bears, George Halas McCaskey.
Thank you for that tepid applause. Jeff said it very well. This is a family reunion. We're excited to have the Hesters and the Fortes here today. We're glad you're here. What is your favorite Devin Hester moment? Is it the same as Devin's himself? Arguably the most exciting 14 seconds in Super Bowl history? How about the crown their ass punt return winning touchdown earlier that season in our come-from-behind win against the Cardinals, or the two kickoff returns against the Rams, or the kickoff return and the punt return against the Broncos at Soldier Field, or the 108-yard return against the Giants. You get the idea. It's hard to choose. The most prolific returner in the history of the game is a Bear. We're very proud of that, and we're proud of Devin. He revolutionized the game. Opponents eventually decided that on kickoffs, they would just kick the ball out of bounds. They'd rather give us the ball at the 40-yard line than risk Devin taking it all the way. My favorite Devin Hester moment came in 2014. He was leaving the Bears, and I called him to thank him and wish him well. He said that when it came time, he wanted to retire as a Bear. To know that it was that important to him means the world to us. Earlier this year, the Hall of Fame Selection Committee did the right thing and voted to induct Devin's teammate Brian Urlacher in his first year of eligibility. We're confident that in time, the Selection Committee will do the right thing and have Devin take his place among the game's immortals in Canton. Devin, on behalf of Bears fans the world over, thank you.
Thank you, George. For me, as a broadcaster, it is both inspiring and humbling to take the microphone on game day with my broadcast partner, Tom Thayer, of course, and entertain, inform, explain, and describe what is happening. We essentially are charting the history of the game, and certainly the history of the Chicago Bears. I've always felt that way. It's in indelible ink, too, because these moments that are captured, they frame greatness, the split-second excellence of extraordinary athletes, and so it's an honor to call the men who play this game. Defining greatness requires more than just stats and numbers. It's the impact, in Devin's case, of an NFL record. 20 returns, as George pointed out, 21 if you throw the Super Bowl in there. It affects strategy, and Devin Hester forced teams to think twice about everything. He forced teams to dedicate more resources to the return game. He was electric, of course. He was historic. He was ridiculously great. From week 1 at Lambeau in 2006 to Super Bowl Sunday in Miami. Kicking to Devin Hester was risky. It was gutsy. It was an event within the event, and it was must-see.
Forget it! Nobody's gonna get him! Devin Hester, you are ridiculous!
I'm talking to you seriously. You are something special, dog. You got a long career ahead of you. That was a hell of a job.
Popping here in Miami to Hester. Under it, and to the middle with the 15, to the 20, breaks free at the 25, to the 30, to the outside! Oh! Touchdown Bears! No way! 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Windy City Flyer. Hester 20, Hester 10, Hester to the end zone, touchdown, Devin Hester. Big 2 black, baby.
Well, I don't know what happened to the volume, but you got the picture. You heard it over and over again. It was an honor to call his games. Those plays I'll never forget, and neither will we as fans. So please welcome the greatest return man of all time, and thank you for the memories, Chicago Bear Devin Hester, the legend.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank God for just allowing me to be here today. On down to my mom, my parents that couldn't be here today, to the organization for allowing me to retire as a Bear. My wife that's here today, my 3 lovely kids. Well, I just had one, so my 3 lovely kids. That's which is at home and at school. First of all, I want to thank Ted, Jerry, Angelo, my agent firm that's here. Thank you guys for just opening up the door for me to allow me to be a Chicago Bear. On down to Coach Levy. It's tough, man. At 35 years, you know, this is my first time saying no to football. That's all I knew, you know. And to be here to say that, you know, this is my last time picking up a ball and, you know, playing football is tough. But thank Rusty Jones, man, great strength coach that was here my entire years in the Bear. Coach Dave Told, one of the best, and probably the best special team coach that ever walked this planet. Derek Drake, wide receiver coach. Ron Turner, offensive coordinator. I appreciate you guys. On down to my teammates, some of the guys here, Matt Forte, Charles Tillman, Jason McKee, Johnny Knox, and the rest of my teammates. At the end of the day, I knew that the returns that I had wouldn't stand if it wasn't for you guys, man. The ones that's not here, I appreciate all you guys, man. From the bottom of my heart, you know, it was amazing to be a part of a group of guys, man, that every time I stepped on the field, these guys were coming up to me saying, please follow me, I got your back. Even Charles Tillman to be a starting cornerback, to be a Pro Bowl at that, and beg to be on punt return, you know. That's big, man. You know, my 11 years in the league, you know, guys that play starting at cornerback, they don't want to do any special team. For a guy like Peanut, man, to come out there and beg to be on that unit, man, it's big. I appreciate that. To the organization, man, y'all opened me with well arms, man. I mean, from on down to from Robin, Kate, Ted, all you guys, man, even down to the cafeteria lady, Mrs. D, which was the cafeteria lady and my personal babysitter. Thank you guys, man. It's, you know, it's tough, man. And like I say, you saying no to this game of football is tough for me. I was always a kid that envisioned being a football player since the age of about 8 to 10. I know that it's wrong. You know, I don't encourage my kids to do it, but I put all my eggs in one basket. And I felt like, you know, if you put all your eggs in one basket, then you're really giving yourself 100%. If you do 50-50, you might want to be a policeman, you might want to be a football player. I feel like at the end of the day, you're cheating yourself. I'm the type of guy where I put all my eggs in one basket and say, hey, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to make sure I go to school, but at the end of the day, all my eggs was in the football basket. To the University of Miami organization, I appreciate you guys. I see you back there, Jared Pay. And I see you guy there. But, man, you know, it's an honor and a privilege to be in this family, man. I appreciate you guys. For the Miss Cassidy that's not here today, tell I love her to my dear heart. I would always respect her and would always look up to her. Like I say, this is the end of the road for me. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Devin's going to take about 10 minutes of questions, so fire away if you can. And there's a microphone there with PR, and you can just throw your hand up in about 10 minutes of questions.
Devin, you're talking about how difficult it is to come to this decision, but when did you come to it, and kind of how was that process to come to this decision to retire?
This probably came after the playoff game when I was in Seattle. I was like, it's family time, you know. Of course, last year I had teams blowing me up trying to sign me. Even Philly tried to sign me after Darren Sproles got hurt. But it was just something inside of me that was like, 11 years in it. I have a family now, and I miss so much time with those. So it was really make-up time for me. So the minute they called, I asked my wife, like, what should I do? She was like, of course, she was like, go play, live out your dream, you do it. And the time off that I had, spending with my kids, my wife, and just being there really, really, like, said, this is what I missed out on. My first at least 5-6 years in the league, I never went home during the summertime. I always stayed up here and worked out at the facility. Sometimes Russell would tell me, man, you got to go take a break. I want to go on a vacation. And I was just constantly up here during the summertime. So I really didn't put that time in that I wanted with my family. And the moment I sat home after about 2 or 3 months and just being around them, it was like, wow, this is shocking, man. I never realized the things I do, like with my wife, with my kids, getting to know them. And I felt like I just couldn't leave them. It was just time for me.
Will ever be another kick returner like you? And you look at what the league is doing and what college is doing. Do you think there will be kickoffs to be returned in 10 years?
That's the big question. Will it ever be kickoff and punt return? With the new rules that's coming up now, I don't know if kick return and punt return going to last another 2-3 years in this league. They're really fighting to get it out. And it's sad to say because at the end of the day, kickoff and punt return is one of the most exciting parts of that other game. And like I said, you never know, though.
Devin, over here, what were your expectations coming into the league? You obviously had a lot of success at Miami returning kicks. There was talk that you didn't have a natural position coming into the league. Did you even exceed your own expectations in terms of your success?
To be honest, I did. A kid coming from a small town, Revere Beach, Florida, the biggest goal was just to make it to the NFL. When I come to that goal, I thought, whatever comes with it, I'm satisfied, I'm happy. And after my first year, it was like, it was a big shocker for me. It was tough to swallow. It really didn't hit me. I'm coming out of college and the draft started was, this guy, he's moving around. He played kickoff return. He played receiver, running back, cornerback. He don't have a position, and I guess it was mostly labeled me that as an athlete. And so when I got to the league, it was like, the things he did in college was unheard of. He would never do those type of numbers. And so I came into the league with a big chip on my shoulder that I'm gonna prove everybody wrong.
Devin, I'm sure you're aware there's as yet no players who are predominantly return specialists in the Hall of Fame. Is it important to you, and what would it mean to you to be the first?
It's very important. I hope to one day to say that, I will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's every athlete's dream come true, is to be, of course, playing in the Pro Bowl, playing the Super Bowl, win Super Bowl rings. But to put icing on the cake, every athlete wants to be in the Hall of Fame. If it's one out there that said they don't really care about it, then they're playing the wrong sport. I myself, I do feel I have a good shot at it. When you look at how the stats are, to to have the most returns in NFL history. That's things on the return side that's never been done. On down to the teams and the opponents we play, the head coaches, where you simply have to game plan around a return team. It's not really listed to me. I don't really look at it as would he make it as a return man, but sometimes you gotta put guys in the Hall of Fame for being the most dangerous person out there on the field. And when it comes down to coaches saying that the game plan, to keep playing for this, is the only way we win this victory is if we start the return game. And it's not single as a returner, but as the unit, as our return unit, with the great blockers that we had, played a big contributor to it. And when you have to face a guy like that or face a team like that, you have to worry about that. There's no question about whether this guy should make it to the Hall of Fame.
Hey, Devin, in watching those highlights, what was your favorite regular season return? I'm assuming the Super Bowl had to have been the biggest jolt for you, but regular season, what was your favorite, and were you ever amazed by yourself and what you were able to do?
I would say the Arizona game, my rookie year, just because of the way the game went. It was down over 20-some points going into the halftime, and that I would always say that game there was the key point to our success for that 2006 season. The way we fought back, we didn't give up. Really showed true character of what type of team we was that year, and by proving ourselves and coming out with a W on that game really showed us that we are champions this 2006 year.
Devin, obviously coming back here to retire, you had a special bond with the team. Were you able to appreciate it while you were here, or did you appreciate it more when you were playing for other clubs and looking back on your time with the Bears?
I would say this organization was more, to be honest, more friendly off the field. And what I mean by that is that every day, especially during OTAs and things like that, where you had a little more time, we would always meet up at somebody's house right after practice, every day. It ain't a day go by where Johnny, J-Mac, or, Mark Bradley, or everybody would just pick a house and we just go hang out with. It was like an everyday brother bond that we had every day.
What was the feeling driving here today, knowing what you were going to go through once you got here?
First flashback was knowing when I'm driving here, I'm always late, so I'm trying to hurry up and get to meetings. So, my first time driving the speed limit coming here. So that was kind of like I got a chance to observe the scenery and the new buildings that were put up. But it was just a long journey here. It felt long. All the memories from just driving here from the first OTA to coming here, getting ready to fly out to the Super Bowl. And on Saturday, it was just like just driving down memory lane. All the things that I can think of that happened my time here just kind of flashed back through my mind.
Devin, do you think you're still going to stay involved in football? I know you want to do the family thing in Florida. Are you still going to stay involved with the team or the NFL or any kind of other football in general as far as maybe coaching or things like that?
Well, right now I'm volunteering coaching in Orlando. I have 3 sons, 2 of them that's playing, so kind of found myself being the head coach. Coaching the teams, man, it was kind of like a volunteer thing one day, and then after like 3 days, it was like, all right, you run the offense and the defense. We'll just be on the sideline watching. But, yeah, it was I'm giving time back in the community now, just volunteer coaching out, helping out however I can. And as far as that goes, no more football, no high school, no college, I'm pretty much football burnt out when it comes to that.
Okay, any other questions? All right, for everybody's benefit, right? They got the audio cleaned up. So do we want to hear those highlights?
Yeah.
All right, let them rip.
Forget it! No Nobody's going to get him. Devin Hester, you are ridiculous.
I'm talking to you seriously. You are something special, dog. You got a long career ahead of you. That was a hell of a job.
Popping here in Miami to Hester. Under it and to the middle of the 15, to the 20, breaks free of the 25, to the 30, to the outside. Oh! Touchdown Bears! No way! 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Windy City Flyer! Hester 20, Hester 10, Hester to the end zone! Touchdown, Devin Hester! Fade to black, baby!
All right. They never get old, right? Unbelievable. I told them earlier today, the St. Louis game, when Ridiculous was born, I chuckled on the second one because I knew it was going to happen again. That's when it came out. I just could not believe it. And I told Devin there was a television monitor, and I was looking at the monitor for some reason while I'm describing the excitement after, and Lovie, his jaw dropped. He was like this. And I said, Lovie Smith's jaw just literally dropped. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all those memories. And now, on to Mr. Forte. Unbelievable career as well. And now a thank you as well from Mr. McCaskey.
Thank you for that tepid applause. As with Devin, it's hard to pick a favorite Matt Forte moment. Matt chose his first touchdown as a Bears rookie when we beat the Colts opening weekend 2008. I think a better approach with Matt is to consider the body of work. As a fan, he was just a joy to watch. A superior athlete, and frequently the best player on the field. Among the best in a long line of great Bears running backs: Grange, Nagurski, McAfee, Caceres, Gallimore, Anderson, and of course Peyton, and put Forte right in there. And an outstanding pass receiver. As a fan, I really enjoyed it when we split him out wide, and the defense sent a linebacker out there to try to cover him. If pressed for a favorite Forte moment, I would make what you might think is an unusual choice. November 7th, 2011, at Philadelphia. Matt had 2 fumbles in the game. Many players in that situation would have gone into the tank. But Matt demonstrated his resilience. He overcame adversity. He fought back. He wound up with 133 yards, more than a pretty good player on the Eagles named LaShawn McCoy. And he had a 5.5-yard average. He also had 3 receptions. And we came back to win the game. That's the Matt Forte that I'm a fan of. Matt, on behalf of Bears fans the world over, thank you.
They always talk about the success of a play requiring execution, but also the slightest of movements, a bob, a weave, a shake, an ignition, an explosive dynamic cut at full speed, mind you, and defenders at the mercy of Matt Forte's open field instincts. Getting running backs to the second level is where the fun begins, and that's when Matt Forte had fun. Great vision, subtle in space, breaking ankles, slashing defenses with unique creativity. His excellence born out of a unique skill for a back his size, but also a burning desire to be great. A totally committed professional who invested in the details on and off the football field. Readiness to compete was his calling card, and his production proved it. 8 Bears seasons, #1 in the league in yards from scrimmage. He ends his career, this 10-year decade, #1 in yards from scrimmage in the National Football League. Unbelievable production, and 8,602 yards of that on the ground right here, second only to Hall of Famer Walter Payton. A premier receiving back in his generation with hands and skills so good, many scouts repetitively told me he also could have been a Pro Bowl wide receiver. George mentioned the '08 opener in Indianapolis. I have that thing memorized in my mind. The body control and balance at that second level, the sharp cut, the left foot in the dirt, or in this case, the turf, and a fluid finish to the end zone, outrunning Bob Sanders to the goal line, leaving Antoine Bethea grasping at thin air. Matt, you gave us many lasting memories.
They run it to Matt Forte up the middle, makes a cut left, and he's away. 30, 20, Matt Forte ends up. He goes 50 for the touchdown. Forte up the middle, blasting to the 40, away at the 35. He's to the 20, right to the 10. Outruns his man to the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown Bears! Matt Forte! Hands it off to Matt Forte, scoops inside, now bounces left. He's got the 35 to the 40. Forte in midfield. Forte at the 30. Forte picking him up, laying him down. 68 yards. Touchdown! Touchdown Bears! Forte to the left of the cover. They string it out to Forte at the 25. Runs left 20. He's to the 15. To the 10. 5 and down! Touchdown! Touchdown Bears!
So with that, let's please welcome one of the premier dual threat running backs in Bears and NFL history, Matt Forte.
Whew. I don't know how you did it, Devin. Man, a lot of changes. Dev, you had dreads. I was bald. Got hair now though. Man, I walked down memory lane. Man, this is I'm standing here today, full of emotion, but I'm not sad. I'm not disappointed or anything. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I say grateful because of how long I was able to play, the impact that I was able to have on the field and off the field. I'm grateful that God allowed me to have this talent and be able to showcase it for His glory on such a main stage. I'm grateful for God giving me my parents who made countless numbers of sacrifices for me to be where I am today. Just thinking back, every time a new season, whether it was basketball, baseball, or football came about, my mom had dreams and aspirations of her own, but she made sure that I had a fresh pair of cleats or a fresh pair of basketball shoes for every season, whether it was on the field or on the court. And my mom, she would go outside and throw the ball with me when my dad wasn't home too. You know, a lot of moms would be like, wait till your dad get home. You know, go do something else. But my mom made countless sacrifices for me to be up here. And my dad would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I lived in Slidell, Louisiana. He would drive all the way to New Orleans and work a full day for Shell Oil Company. He'd come back around 5:30 after sitting in traffic and getting here, a long drive. And the first thing he would do, he wouldn't even eat. He'd go outside with me. My dad's 300 pounds, so I know how much that meant to him. My dad was a big D lineman. I know he wanted to eat when he got home, but he'd go straight outside and we'd shoot basketball or throw the ball. If it was baseball season, we'd go in between the houses. And if I was pitching, he was being the catcher. If it was football, he was the quarterback. And if I had to work on my hitting, he'd take me to the park or the batting cages. Whatever it was that I needed to do to get better, he was right there for me, making those sacrifices. And I thank God for having two parents that not only were able to make those sacrifices, but were willing to do that for me. I also thank him for my wife, who's made countless sacrifices for me as well. Just like Devin said, you know, it gets to that time where you got a family and you miss a lot of time with them. And now it's time for me to make those sacrifices so she can live out her dreams. And I thank you for always being there and supporting me. I remember, I believe it was year 4. I was in the contract year, and that one game hurt my knee, and I was in the locker room, and I heard banging on the door, and somebody was like, "Who is that on the door?" And she was at the locker room door. I was like, "Girl, how you get down here?" So I was like, she must have passed by the security and everything, but she was right by the locker room door, and she was crying. And I looked at her, because I wasn't crying. I looked at her, I said, "Girl, why are you crying?" She said, "You didn't get up fast enough." And so I knew it at that moment. I mean, she always had my back, and I thank you for that as well. But not only my family, a lot of coaches, a lot of teammates made sacrifices for me to continue to grow as a player, starting off with Coach Lovey. I appreciate Coach Lovey for believing in a little guy from Tulane, not known for football like the U, you know. But taking a chance on me. Chris Ballard, who scouted me, I spoke to him at the Senior Bowl. That was my first time speaking to the Bears organization, and I guess they liked me because they kept it real quiet and ended up picking me. So I was grateful for that. But not only him, Ron Turner, a lot of different offensive coaches. Tim Spencer, who played professional at running back, who challenged me. I appreciate Tim Spencer for challenging me as a professional to become better, and not only just to be satisfied with a season or a game that I did well in, but to continue to work each and every day, to not be complacent about any success on the field, and to always try to be at your best no matter what it is, day in and day out. Mike Martz, who came in as a coordinator, Mike Tice, Adam Gase, Todd Bowles, a lot of different coaches, Stan Drayton, Stump Mitchell, a lot of people, a lot of coaches, but even more than the coaches, my teammates helped me to become the player that I was and the man that I am today. We had, in my opinion, I've only been in 2 different locker rooms, but the one with the Bears was amazing to me. The character of the guys and how they conducted themselves, but also how it was a brotherhood, and they were also great on the field. I mean, me being a rookie coming in and facing, I look across the defense, and my first carry in camp was against Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Tommy Harris, Peanut Tillman, Mike Brown, you know, the whole Super Bowl defense. And the first play, Brian called out the play. He was like, "It's coming right here." And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, if he know where the play going, how are we going to run the play? And needless to say, he was right there to make the play too. So, but playing against a defense like that from a young, rookie, groomed me to know that I just arrived here and that I hadn't made it, and I had to work very hard to continue to be consistent in my production. And then going into the NFL, I knew it was a production-based league, and consistency is better than peaks and valleys. So I wanted to be the best at all times and be available at all times for my teammate and my team. And that's why I left it all on the field, and honestly have no regrets of how I played and what I did on the field, except for not winning the Super Bowl for this great franchise. But with that said, I'm very grateful and humbled today to stand up here and say that I'll be a Bear for life, and thank you.
Okay, we'll take questions for Matt.
Hey Matt, have you thought about, Walter Payton's the only one ahead of you, and there's a lot of great running backs who've come through here. Have you been able to reflect upon that throughout the years, that he's really the only one ahead of you?
Yeah, I have. Even while I was playing here, I had time to reflect on that, and even then, given how great Walter Payton was, it just didn't seem right that my name was just right there next to his and stuff. So it's just kind of surreal to me to that my name is right there with him in this organization, and it lets me know that it's re-solidifying that the hard work that you put in, long enough, it will pay off for you. And my parents from a young age put in a great work ethic in me, and it's always been my formula for success. So once I got into the NFL, I didn't want to change that. And being mentioned among great names like that just humbles me and lets me know that I did well while playing.
You said you had no regrets. When did you know that this was going to be your last season last year, and what's that process like going through? Like Devin said, I mean, football's been such a big part of your life forever.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've been doing this since I was 7 years old, and I'm 32 now. I'm still a young man, but it's weird to say, yeah, you're retiring, and it's just that I'm retiring from just one phase of my life, which I, fortunately enough, I got to do for a long time. It is true that the NFL stands for not for long, but even shorter for running backs. And I look back to be able to play for a decade and to play at a high level. I'm just blessed to be able to say that. And going into playing in the NFL, when I got drafted, I knew I wanted to play at least 10 years. I always set my expectations high and expected a lot out of myself. And I didn't even know at the end of this year if I wanted to continue or keep playing. I really had my mind set on, continuing to play. But you after every year, you got to reevaluate, not only your body and how it feels, but also, having a family and all that stuff too now. But when it came down to it and thinking about it, I didn't want to go out on the field again another year and not be able to display how I know I can play. And so, given that fact and also wanting to be around my family a lot more and enter into this new phase of life, I decided to make that decision. And so it wasn't during the season or before the season. It was kind of towards the end of the season to in the off season where I had to reevaluate and assess the future plans, and ended up with retirement.
Hey Matt, your first game, the Sunday nighter against the Colts, you have a 50-yard burst for a touchdown, and I remember, after a lot of your TDs, you played it cool. You were humble afterwards, a long way to go, but what were you really thinking? First game, and you get a touchdown for the Chicago Bears.
So a lot of y'all probably can't see it, but because my back is turned, but when I entered in the end zone and it looks like I do like this, I was just screaming. My mouthpiece was in, and I was just like, it was like, I basically was just saying, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. It was crazy. My parents were at that game. They had their backs to where I was running. They were in section 344, way up in the nosebleeds. And all I could think was, I'm glad my parents got to experience, this moment that I did too as well. And it was just amazing to be a part of that. I knew going into that game, I had a feeling that it was gonna, be a big game, and it was on prime time and stuff. And my first time being able to be on national television playing and being a professional, and I just wanted to, do my best and make things happen. And when I got a chance or an opportunity to make a big play, I had to make the most of it. And like I've always been told, you make one guy miss, you got a chance to make huge plays. And made one guy miss, and it was all she wrote after that.
Matt, over here, what does the city mean to you and your family, and just the, almost the sort of coincidence of being drafted here, but then to put down roots in this city and still be here? What does it mean to you?
It means a lot to me. Met my wife here. She is from here, and all her side of the family and stuff. My father-in-law, who is a pastor. I'm a Christian man, and I've been going to his church the last 9 years because we met after my first year. And so it means everything. Starting a family here, becoming a real man, and not just an adolescent, growing into that, being here. Also starting my foundation here, where I did a lot of work on the south side and in some of the bad neighborhoods where we're trying to cut down on gun violence and continue to help educate people who don't have the resources. So Chicago means a lot to me, and that's why we currently, still live here and will continue to have our roots here and still be around and do these things, because it means so much just being here and having that tenure of a career, but also off the field, being able to reach out to the fans and speak with them, and but also going to the neighborhoods in Chicago and talk with the kids and realize what's wrong with some of the school system and things that and kind of help out, use a helping hand where things need help at. So with that, my family being started here and starting a foundation and stuff like that. It means, the most to me.
Matt, if you could tell your rookie self something about the journey that gets you to today, what would you say?
I was asked this earlier, and I said I would tell myself, appreciate every single moment that you step into the building. I think after a couple of years, once you become a veteran, you played 4 or 5 years, you kind of just, it's routine that you get to come in and everything's provided for you. People cook for you, they clean for you, they clean up your mess, your laundry, and all that stuff. You just take it for granted. But appreciate the small things and the details that go into everything that is required for a football team. The travel to games, having to stay in hotels, and them, providing all that for us so that we can go on the field and be at our best. And a lot of guys don't look at the details, and we take those things for granted. So I would tell myself to understand and appreciate those things and those people that were here doing that for us the entire time.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And Matt and Devin. Matt and Devin will be available to reporters upstairs for a brief time, but all of you who came here today, thank you for attending, and thank you very much to Devin and Matt for making the journey, and welcome back. Love to see you around a lot, and go Bears. Thank you.